Okay. Hello, everyone. This is production, so we're going to make the show go on. Anyway, so welcome to Coffee Break Live. This is just a time for us to have a coffee break with you, and I bring on guests, and we just talk about their lives, where they came from, what they're doing, and have a little bit of fun with them with some questions. So today we have the pleasure of interviewing Lukas.
Me.
So, welcome to the show, Lukas. And how are you? How's your day going?
I'm great. It's been a good day so far. I love waking up early, getting to stuff early.
Oh, sweet. So, how early do you get up?
Usually between 6 and 7. It just depends on the day and what I have.
Okay.
But after this, I'll have a couple shoots, and that's kind of.
So there's a dollhouse aspect in here that we're going to talk about that I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
So we'll keep that in mind. So anyways, but what we're going to do, we're going to ask you a few questions. And one of them is,
Sure.
What we want to know is what's your background? Like, where are you from?
Okay. So originally my family lived in Las Vegas for about 8 years. We spent the summer in Wisconsin, but it was mostly Las Vegas, and we moved here. So I've been here the majority of my life now. I pretty much consider this my home. But I did enjoy growing up in Vegas. It was a totally different environment. We got mountains, dry heat, 120 degree.
Oh, no.
We grew up in the pool, my brothers and I, but we were little. I think we moved right around the time of the real estate crash. So I didn't really know it was up then, but now I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably one of the reasons. But so I mean, we grew up in Vegas, moved here. I've been here for about 11 years now, 12 years, and I really like it. I've kind of gone up and down where I liked Oklahoma and I didn't like Oklahoma, but I really like Oklahoma, especially the real estate market, and just because that's just my thing. So
it's interesting. It's always interesting to me when people, well, I'm from Altus, so especially when people want to go live in Altus, I'm like, most people don't want to do that. And I don't know, I like it, but, and I've know what there is to do there. But a lot of people are like, man, I don't want to go down to the hottest place in Oklahoma. Anyway, but so how
hot and humid here.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And what's the difference in, like, what was there to do in Las Vegas as a kid?
Well, one of the things we mostly lived in, like, communities where we would do, like, my brother and I, because we were pretty little still, we would mostly play, like, outside. Those were the days. I was 4, 5, 6. My brother's 2 years older than me. My little brother's 4 years younger than me. So it was mostly my older brother and I, and we would do our school. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. She decided to teach us and homeschool us as opposed to working, so she could spend time with us. And so we mostly would play in the pool. We had a community pool most of the time. But I mean, we wouldn't go out and, like, play by ourselves outside. Yeah. That was one of the things when we moved here. I really loved that. We got a yard. We had grass. There was no grass or green at all. We moved here. I thought it was like the jungle. So I was like, this is great. And one of the things I really wanted, bamboo. Like, it was my dream to have bamboo. And when we moved here, sure enough, in the corner of our backyard was a little bamboo patch. It's like, what? No way.
You moved to the jungles of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, in comparison to other places, I realize. But when you came from rock backyard, I was like, this is great. We have grass.
And did you roll your ankle a lot when you're running around your rocky backyard?
Kind of. Well, it just depends. I mean, we had a lot of sidewalks. We had a lot of stuff. But that was one of the reasons that my parents wanted us to move here, is because they just wanted us to be able to play outside freely and play, which not everywhere in Las Vegas is where you can't, but we were always in kind of places where it's like, wait for mom.
Okay. So how did you get from that? How did you get to where you are now? What was the journey to get to where you are now with 3D Tours Oklahoma?
It's kind of a cliche thing maybe, but I think most people whether they realize it or not, pick up a lot from their parents, whether that's good things that you try to, go for, or, bad things that you're trying to go away from. Everybody, I think, takes a lot of influence from their parents and people around them. And my parents were pretty awesome in that respect. I think one of my key takeaways of life, especially from my mother, but both of my parents really were, that they kind of instilled in my brothers and I the ability to learn like what we wanted to learn, essentially. Instead of just teaching us things, they taught us how to learn things. So when it came to our own interests, going through high school, and then I went to OCU for a bit. It was just, I was very confident in my ability to learn and do whatever I wanted to, because that was kind of always encouraged. So even, when I started things like photography that I was not intimately familiar with at first, I was like, I could do this, and I did. So
yeah. What was the reason for photography? You just
the photography part I actually added on after I started the 3D tour part. I was working in kind of the real estate world before, and learning how to do like wholesaling and just kind of working in the residential investor world. And so I was trying to sell a property. I was marketing a property to people in Texas, and it was a big, awkward property that I wasn't exactly sure how to show. And so I found the 3D tour product and hired someone to do that. And after I saw it, I was like, what? Why is this not everywhere? Like, this is really cool. Well, for me, because it's just a time saver. That's what I initially saw it as. And I was, it wasn't an immediate thing, but after just a little bit, I was like, man, I could do this,
Yeah. So, okay. So were you did you say that you were actually in real estate, or, okay, you were an actual real estate agent?
Well, no, I wasn't an agent. I was working with investors. So my goal was to learn how to buy property, and I'm still going to do that. This year I've looked at a couple, but because of the whole virus thing, especially, I've just been focused on 3D.
Yeah. It's
So,
man.
I'll say buying a property for October or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned 3D photography. So how? Yeah. Okay. First off, that's crazy. I don't even know what is involved in that, but how would that be different as opposed to just normal photography?
So,
I know the obvious, it's 3D, but
right. Well, the biggest thing for me was that. And I think photos are not, either they're never going to, or they're not going to go out of, style for a long time, just because that's the first thing that people see typically when they're looking at a property now, especially online. So you have to have good photos. You have to make
especially now.
Yeah. Well, I forget where I got this, but it was basically, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression.
Right.
So you really want to make a good first impression with photos, and that's where they're really great. So that's how I added photography on. I was doing the 3D tour stuff, and I was like, okay, I need to offer photography as well. But the 3D tours, after you see photos online, because it's impossible to, and we always do our best to kind of tell a story with the flow of the photos as well, so that people can kind of get an idea of the feel of the property, but it's impossible to really do that without being there. So once you see the photos, you might like certain things, but the way that you have to do the angles and show the rooms and all that, it's kind of hard to really understand what the property is like until you get there. And when I saw this 3D tour thing, I was like, wow, this is really cool. You can get that same thing without having to be there. So, I mean, most people still want to see the property eventually, but we've had offers accepted. We've had properties leased out for a lot of our partners, in state, out of state, sight unseen, just by using the 3D tour. So it's been really cool in that respect. But that's really kind of the main thing, is the 3D tour allows you to basically, we take a copy of the house and put it up virtually, where they can see the floor plan, they can see the layout, they can walk through, look around at their own pace.
What does that even look like as a job? Like what would your typical day be like?
Okay, so if we're doing a shoot, like I'm going to do a shoot right after this, it's photos and one of our 3D tour products. It's not the full one, but we just go to the property. Most of the magic happens after we're done. So the editing is probably at least a 2-to-1 ratio on the on-site capture, but it's just a fancy kind of weird looking box camera that goes around and captures the entire room in little things, and we stitch it together, and then we stitch all of those together to create the layout of the room. So it's just kind of a, I equate it to almost like cooking. Once you learn how to grill something, you can kind of grill all different types of stuff. So you learn the technique, and that's the same with the camera. Once you learn how to kind of do the camera, which by the way, I thought would be a lot easier than it was. When I started, I'm like, yeah, I got this. And then I was like, whoa, this is not that, when I first got the setup. So yeah, we do our on-site capture where we basically, every place you want someone to stand and be able to look around, which we typically just do in kind of the flow of the house. And then we highlight all the selling points of the house. Usually it's, special features that might be from house to house, but usually it's just the kitchen, bedroom, the master suite, the master bathroom.
So how do you, or I don't say how, but like, what's the dollhouse feature?
Okay, so the dollhouse view, which is something that we do explain, just because it's a different kind of term, but people are getting more familiar, is basically where our camera captures like depth and 3D data as well, that allows us to measure and create a floor plan of the property. So it's not just that's the difference between a 3D tour and a 360 tour. The 360 tour is just a camera that takes 360 photos that line up in kind of like a slideshow. And then the 3D tour allows us to build like the actual floor plan. So, and for most cases, it's within 99% accuracy, the measurements. So we can get measured floor plans from that as well. So the dollhouse specifically is just when you're in the tour, you can click the little button that says dollhouse on it, and it'll zoom you out, and you can kind of get a bird's eye view on the property and what the layout looks like. So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool. And also I think it's cool that, there is a difference there with the 3D tour. I think that you're actually in your own point of view. Like you can walk through the house virtually,
Well,
and
that's the difference between it and video. With video, which video is really great in its own use as well, but people today are getting more and more used to having what they want now, and there's more transparency than ever with social media and other things, as far as live information and getting your stuff, so video is really great, especially for higher end property where you're telling a story with the video. Especially, it's a way to connect people emotionally, I believe. And then the 3D tour is more, it's a very pragmatic sort of, there's no way to, edit things out. It's very genuine. It allows people to see what they're actually getting in or interested in before they drive all the way out to Piedmont or whatever. And before you drive out to Piedmont, you know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that. That's actually a really good
Well, that's my, and not everybody's different, but to me, it's a lot of time saved if you're utilizing it correctly. So, but it's just, video is really great, but you typically only get highlights. You get certain portions. They might omit certain things about a property in a video. Nobody wants to watch a video that's more than 3 minutes anyway these days.
Yeah.
So with the 3D tour, people that are watching it, they can basically look around and see whatever they want in their own time from their own place.
Yes. So. Yeah. In their jammies.
Yeah.
So what is the what do you think is the best part of your job that you get to do every day that you would be like, man, this is the thing?
This right here.
Really?
People.
Okay, cool.
And honestly, and most business owners realize this, I think, but there's a lot that don't. And most especially service-based industries like mine, it's just a people and relationship business, and ultimately I really enjoy, right now I go into people's homes probably pretty soon. I'll be mostly just talking with partners but I really love the relationship aspect where, you just get to build relationships with really cool people. I love the real estate industry anyway. And I get to kind of add to that with the 3D tour stuff now, but I love being able to refine what I'm doing and make the service better, essentially, because that's how you get it. That's how you get anything in America, really, is that's what I love about our economy and our country. Everything's voluntary. So if I do a voluntarily bad job, then you voluntarily won't work with me.
Right. Yeah.
But when I learn what your goals are and who you are as a potential partner, then I can either say, hey, we're a good fit for each other, or we're not. And then when I'm working with you already, I get to learn who you are. What are your do you have kids, do you have stuff? The more I hang out with you, or even if it's a brief encounter, recently I get to figure out what are things that I can do that will make my clients feel comfortable in like this virus environment. It's kind of this crazy thing that blindsided everybody in different ways, and some people are more comfortable than others with a stranger in their home.
Oh yeah.
So I've been very fortunate that what I do can help make people comfortable too, because then it's one person in their house one time, and then they're relatively good until like I said, an offer gets accepted, or qualified buyers come in. So
yeah, no, that makes total sense.
But I love that.
People, that's why I got into this business.
Yeah.
I actually, that's part of the reason why I like any of the jobs I go to is the people.
Yeah.
And, so that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so right now is the time that we go into our random questions, and this is just a time for us to have some fun and get to know you on another level. So we ask 3 random questions to everyone we interview.
Mm-hmm.
It started out with trivia questions, so we're going to go to the history of Coffee Break Live.
Okay.
So we started out with office trivia questions, and then we kind of gradually progressed into random questions, which I think I do love The Office, but I think that these are more fun.
More versatile.
Yes, yes, and you actually learn about you, not just your knowledge of The Office,
Okay.
So, and it's funny things, but maybe there's something in there. I don't know. So
What you got?
here we go. Number 1, what food is always in your fridge?
Coconut water.
Really?
Yeah. Well, food, beverage.
Do you drink the coconut water that has the big chunks floating in it?
No.
Okay.
Coconut pulp is the worst kind of. It's terrible. Just because it's usually big, chunky shreds of this really hard fruit.
Mm-hmm.
No, coconut water is typically taken from a very young coconut. So when people think coconut, they think that hard brown. That's a very mature coconut, and it has very little liquid still in it, because the liquid actually turns into the meat. So coconut water, so young coconut water is where that comes from, and it is just heavenly. It's kind of an acquired taste, and I didn't like it at first, but now I drink it every day.
Yeah, I love coconut milk and coconut yogurt, so I probably would love coconut water.
Yeah, at Chinatown, I get it from the Asian market.
Yeah.
Best I've found. So
sweet.
Yeah, it's best from the coconut, but I don't do that every day.
Okay, well, all right. Question number 2. What's something you've tried that you'll never ever try again?
Oh gosh, like probably certain, I don't know, like horror films. Honestly,
yeah,
non-food related. I don't like. I thought like every once in a while thriller type things I can do, but if it's a straight up horror like movie, like I just don't really. It doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, well, I can't I don't classify Saw movies as horror films. It's just like that's more of like a grotesque thing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna watch. I can't watch that. I can't. I'm the same way though. I can't really just watch a horror movie and just like, okay, let's go do our thing.
I admire it from like a production kind of standpoint. From my understanding, horror films are a lot easier. Well, I wouldn't say necessarily easier, but they might be more simple for, you can create a hit horror show a lot easier than other types of movies, just because there's less of a main actor aspect involved. You don't necessarily need critical, well-known actors. You can make a lot of well-known actors that way, but there's usually a lot less of people faces and more a lot of whatever horror subjects and stuff. So I don't know, it's easier to take a low budget create a horror film that will gross really well. And I mean, I'm a business oriented guy, so I like that too. But other than that, it's not really for
Maybe
me.
you start a production company.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm
Okay.
good with real estate right now.
Okay. Realtors, right here.
Yep.
Okay. So, last question: what product would you stockpile if you found out they weren't going to sell it anymore?
Oh man, this one's a tough one. I want to say the coconut water again, just because I like coconut water, but that's really tough. I feel like whatever products were not going to be stockpiled, if it was in high enough demand, I would just make it or turn around and try to create it, But I would probably get staples like rice, coffee, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because if there's a scenario where I don't know this is probably now I'm creating a hypothetical, but if things were going to get very bad, I feel like stockpiling on like rice and beans and like coffee would be as close to money in a bad time as you could get. You could trade coffee, you could trade that sort of stuff with everybody, and it would be like currency. So just staples that'll last a long time. If we're talking bunker scenarios, if we're just talking, vanity or whatever, I'd probably get like my coconut water because I love that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's been about 20 minutes. We're going to wrap up. And so what are some ways that we could find out more information about you and what you do? We can even put it in the comments or whatever, and we can go from there.
Well, reach out to me. Personally, I always return calls and emails. I usually pick up right now. If I don't, then someone that works with me does. But you go to the website 3dtoursok.com. It's super simple. All my info's on there, or on Facebook. Lukas Zupan, Lukas with a K.
Let's see. There we go.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Lukas Zupan. Lukas with a K because my mother's German and that's how they spell it.
Okay.
And Zupan. So, just message me. I'll get back to people really quick. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's it.
Okay.
And what about you, man? I know you don't like to plug yourself, but
No.
we love working with Joan.
Yes.
And MVP and Jeff.
So yeah, Joan is who I work for at MVP Insurance, and she has helped me out a ton with this. She was very supportive of me. Like, I just came up with an idea, and I thought, what if we just did a Facebook Live show? I mean, this has been like 6 weeks back or whatever. I don't even remember. And I was like, why don't we call it like Coffee Live or something? She's like, well, let's call it Coffee Break Live, and let's do this stuff. And she's like getting me this equipment and some backdrops and stuff, and I'm like starting to get a little overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, because like nobody ever like dives in the deep end with me. It's usually me by myself just diving in. Because that's one thing though, is like I don't like walking into the cold water. If there's a way I can just jump into the cold water and get it over with, we're gonna do that.
Well, you'll figure things out a lot quicker in a lot of cases as well. So it's a good trait to have. But certainly, if you're looking for insurance, good insurance company to work with, MVP is always highly recommended in my circles. And they're not a great fit for everyone, but they're a great fit for a lot of people, and they're super high integrity. So it's referral only pretty much, right? Are you guys?
So
only?
We don't. I mean, I don't know about this, but it's mainly referral partners that bring us our leads and stuff. And so we know the people who are sending us stuff, and so
and for good reason.
Yes. And so if you are a realtor or you want to, get that thing going and improve your business, like I said, Lukas, this is a phenomenal service for you to take advantage of. I would do that because that just opens you up to more channels of communication with potential clients, buyers, whatever. And this is a way to improve your business and to move up. So anyway.
Absolutely. And we got some big updates coming soon, so I'm excited.
Oh, okay,
We'll
cool.
figure it out. But
All right. Well, stay tuned
Yeah.
for that, and keep watching his Facebook, his website. You can call him up and ask him questions if you have them, and let him know. So, guys, I thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks,
for coming
Justin.
on. I love it when people come on. It's just like the coolest thing ever to me. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it truly is. I don't know how to express that.
Yeah.
It just really is, and
Yeah.
especially that this is going to be on a podcast too. I forgot about that. This will be on Spotify. You can
Yeah.
listen to this on Spotify. Listen to my conversation with Lucas, all about 3D tours of Oklahoma, and it'll be on Spotify. That's insane to me. So anyway, but I really appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you guys for watching. And watch after. Start a watch party. I really appreciate it. So thank you guys, and we will see you next time. Bye.